Welcome, everybody, to the first opening week of college football. It's week 0. And here at Sports Wars, we'll be previewing the big games of college football all season long. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe here at Sports Wars. And as always, if you want free football picks and predictions all year long for college, NFL, or English Premier League, you can go to sportspicks.locals.com. The first big game on the calendar, the only big game on the calendar this weekend, is the Big Red Machine. The Cornhuskers of Nebraska travel to Champaign to face the Fighting Illini of Brett Bielema's inaugural game in his inaugural season back in Big Ten country. According to Vegas, Nebraska is favored to win 31-24 with a spread of around 7 and a total of 55. There are some places where you can get the spread at 6 and a hook, and some other places where you can get it at 7 and a hook, depending on which side of the line you like. So what do we think at sportspicks.locals.com? Well, first, this game is a must-win for Scott Frost in his make-or-break season in his 4th year in Lincoln. Already with allegations of various NCAA violations that leaked last week, a new athletic director in town, and concerns in Nebraska about whether or not Scott Frost is the long-term answer after 3 losing seasons in Lincoln. He needs a win, and he needs it bad. By contrast, this is the inaugural game of Brett Bielema's season in Illinois, of his inaugural year in Illinois, and he's under nowhere near the same pressure or expectation where a simple three-win season would meet what Vegas expects to have happen. So the pressure is heavily and the motivation and incentive strongly on the Nebraska side of the line. Secondly, what about talent? Well, here the talent strongly favors those in Lincoln as well. Nebraska returns and brings in its most explosive and most talented offense it has had under Scott Frost, and its most experienced and most talented defense it's had under Scott Frost. Indeed, he brings in key transfers and recruits at running back and wide receiver to complement an experienced quarterback and a more experienced and very talented young offensive line, critically at the anchor positions of both tackles and the center. On defense, he brings in experience and talent at defensive line, linebacker, and defensive back that should upgrade and improve a defense that has always been solid but not spectacular during Scott Frost's tenure. Put those factors together, and we anticipate Nebraska having a good offense, something averaging more than 6 yards per play this year, and a defense that's at least decent, something keeping teams under 5.3 or so yards per play for an average point differential of 7 or so in their schedule overall. By contrast, Illinois brings in a team that, while it has the most super seniors of anybody in the country, those super seniors were never very talented to begin with, at least from a recruiting ranking and NFL scout perspective. Brandon Peters was a big tout. He was one of the guys that was considered an NFL prospect, but he's yet to break 50% in completion percentage, not exactly the most inspiring stat to back up when you're looking at the future. And while they have some talent, including some converted quarterbacks at wide receiver, and an interesting bevy of running backs, but none of whom were considered NFL prospects coming out of high school, and a solid physical offensive line, these are still not Bielema's recruits himself, and their offense has generally been a weak to poor offense in the last several seasons with the same set of personnel. Defensively, they were flat-out bad last year, even with Lovie Smith, and while the COVID season could partially explain that, even during Lovie's extended tenure, the defense was rarely good and usually weak. The talent level is simply not the same level as that in Lincoln, and again, these are not the recruits that Bielema brought in, despite a very talented defensive coordinator who will need to accelerate their development if they're going to be meaningfully competitive and hem in what should be an improved and occasionally and more explosive Nebraska offense. So at sportspicks.locals.com, based on the talent, based on the coaching, based on the experience differential, based on the motivations, we see a game that's closer to 34-20 than 31-24. So we recommend the over on Nebraska 30, team total 31, the under on Illinois, team total 24, and Nebraska both on the spread and on the money line, but particularly the points where the real value is. Vegas is tilting the money line so to encourage people to bet Illinois on the money line, whereas they're tilting the odds to encourage people to vote Nebraska in that capacity. We think the best odds and the best value is Nebraska minus 6.5 if you can get it, but minus 7 still solid, and the Nebraska team total over 34, and then a smaller bet Illinois under 24. That's what the predictions are at sportspicks.locals.com. And we'll be here all year long predicting college football, NFL, and English Premier League games throughout the season. So if you like this content, remember to like, share, and subscribe here at Sports Wars. And if you want more free football picks and predictions, go to sportspicks.locals.com.